Overpaying for anything sucks, especially socks, so why pay $45 for a single pair of grip socks when you can spend less than half? Pure Grip Socks Pro feature our best materials for optimal fit, moisture wicking, and performance at a fair price, just $16.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
Something that's pretty much always been the case when it comes to picking out a new pair of football boots is that people tend to gravitate towards the usual suspects. And to be fair, the most popular boots do tend to be pretty good, but they're not necessarily always the best. Which is why in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my picks for the top 8 most underrated football boots currently available in 2023. So if you're on the market for a new pair of football boots, hopefully the info in this video will help you make the best possible choice, where all of these boots, by the way, you can get below their normal retail prices by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the links down below. And really quickly, if you enjoy the content, perhaps want to see more list videos on the channel, drop a like on this one and let me know what you want to see down in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on my reviews of all the latest football boots of 2023. So without further ado, and in no particular order, because there is a wide variety of boots here and you need to pick them based on your own personal preferences, here are what I believe to be the top 8 most underrated football boots. The Puma Future Pro is the first takedown model in the new Future lineup, sitting just below the Ultimate. That boot normally retailing for $220. The Pro is only going to run you $140, and given that it's not the most popular, you can often find them on sale for less than that. What makes these so underrated is that they are virtually identical in terms of fit, feel, and overall experience to that of the top end variation. So spending the extra money, not to say that it isn't worth it to buy the Ultimate, but you're not necessarily getting a significantly better experience. This upper feels the same, the fit and shaping of the boot is pretty well identical. The only real difference you're going to find is the sole plate does have a slightly more flexible feel because of a difference in the plastic, and there's actually one extra stud in the stud pattern with some rounded studs rather than the studs being all bladed, which you might actually prefer over the top end Ultimate. So if the Puma Future was at all on your radar, save some money and go for the Pro. It's just as good as the Ultimate. There's no doubt that football boots have changed dramatically over the last 30 years or so. However, that does not change the fact that the classic and iconic Adidas Copa Mundial is still a great pair of football boots, and by today's standards, certainly underrated, especially amongst the younger generation. And granted, the retail price of this football boot, just like everything due to inflation, has gone up, retailing now for $170. But for that money, they're still less expensive than just about any of the more popular top-end options from Adidas as well as other major brands, and you're getting a full kangaroo leather upper, made in Germany quality, and honestly just one of the most comfortable football boot experiences currently available. The shape is obviously very old school, and there's certainly more break-in time associated to a classic Copa than just about any modern day football boot. But if you're looking for the feel of super traditional leather boots and just comfort that is truly unrivaled, you just can't beat the Copa Mundial. For those that are in the know, pretty much nothing from MIZUNO is considered underrated. However, for the vast majority of people that are more unfamiliar with the brand, they kind of know it as this niche, ultra expensive football boot option that they often just overlook entirely. However, not everything from MIZUNO is super expensive. Case in point, the MIZUNO Alpha Elite. This is a non-made in Japan variation of the MIZUNO Alpha that is virtually identical in just about every single way, and also unique for MIZUNO in the fact that it is a full synthetic upper. However, unlike the normal MIZUNO Alpha, which retails for $320, these are going to run you $200 at full price, but given that they're not the most popular, you can once again regularly find them on sale, which basically gives you a top-end speed boot with aggressive traction, a lightweight feel, and arguably the best overall fit and comfort in the speed category right now for way less than what you would pay from the most popular speed boots on offer from Nike, Adidas, and Puma. If you're on the market for something with a thin upper and a lightweight overall construction, you are doing yourself a disservice by not at least considering the MIZUNO Alpha Elite. It's typically hard to say that anything from Nike is underrated. They are a marketing machine machine, and everyone tends to be very well aware of all their products. However, for 2023, the major change to the Nike Tiempo lineup is the fact that none of them will feature kangaroo leather or natural leather for that matter. But it has been a pleasant surprise in terms of what they've done with that top-end Legend 10 Elite. The Fly Touch Plus synthetic is really impressive. However, for $230 that the Elite model costs, you can spend $140 and get yourself the Legend 10 Pro, which, similar to the Puma Future Pro, effectively gives you everything that the top-end model gets you, but for a fraction of the price. If you're at all considering the new Tiempo, if you want the Elite model, be my guest, but trust me when I say what you get with the Pro is pretty much 99.9% of the same experience. Speaking of leather boots going away, if you've been a Tiempo wearer for a little while now and are just super upset that the boot has transitioned into a full synthetic upper, it might be worth considering the alternative from the 3 stripes in the ADIDAS COPA Pure Point 1. Granted, it's still going to be upsetting to a lot of people that this is a calfskin leather upper rather than a kangaroo leather upper, but this calfskin, I can assure you, is pretty much as soft as anything, and the fusion skin construction of the upper transitioning into this kind of neoprene-based synthetic through the midfoot makes the boot feel very flowing in terms of touch on the ball. It's extremely consistent, as you would want from a leather pair of football boots. Also, for those that like leather boots but don't want extra bulk, these are very thin in terms of the thickness of pretty much all materials used on the upper, which I think makes for a very clean touch on the ball. The central lacing system and traditional U-throat construction is also very refreshing to see in 2023, and the overall fit and comfort of the football boot is top notch. At $230, it's not as expensive as some of the other top-end options out there, and again, overall, in my opinion at least, very underrated. With another awesome leather alternative to the new Tiempo being the New Balance 442 version 2 Pro. This is going to get you a kangaroo leather upper at a price point of $130. It does feature synthetic through the midfoot, which admittedly isn't as high quality as what you'll find on some top-end models, but from a touch perspective, it matches the thickness of the leather at the front, which I really appreciate. Has a nice deep central lacing system with that standalone U-throat construction, which I really like. A great overall low-cut construction and a sole plate and stud pattern that feels like something that would be on a top-end model, a boot that costs twice as much. Not to mention, these are lighter than most top-end speed boots right now. Also, New Balance boots are available in regular as well as wide fit, so there's a variation for just about anybody, and in terms of bang for your buck, especially if you want something with a kangaroo leather upper, it simply does not get better than this. But if price is not a concern and you just want the best of the best, the kangaroo leather made in Japan MIZUNO MORELIA 2 is simply the GOAT of leather football boots. I don't care what anybody says. The quality of this kangaroo leather is unmatched by anything currently on the market. I wouldn't even say anything comes close. The comfort, the fit, the touch on the ball is simply on another level. And despite the old school look of this boot, it has a very modern shape that I think a lot of people would really like given the chance to try these out. And overall, like I said, it's just the most comfortable boot on the market right now. Also, the sole plate and stud pattern looks very old school. It uses modern plastics and makes the overall weight of this boot, again, lighter than some top-end speed boots right now. Of course, the traction is not going to be the most aggressive given the more old school layout, but if you like that freedom to twist and pivot, and in general, just want to reduce the risk of stud pressure just because of the width and size of these studs, you're going to get overall an incredibly comfortable experience from these football boots, a durable experience because Mizuno's made in Japan quality is just top notch, and also, like I said, the most leather-like, sock-like experience that money can buy. $280 is a lot of money for a boot like this, I understand that, but it simply is the best of the best. With the final boot on this list being one that came out of absolutely nowhere, the New Balance TEKELA V4 Pro Low. The normal mid-cut variation of this boot, as we've known it, is actually a laceless model. However, for the low-cut variation, they've added a lacing system, replaced the central area with this really stretchy, elasticated knit material, and of course gave the boot a low-cut design. The overall shaping with the lacing system offers an incredible fit, really good lockdown, and honestly, one of the most pure sock-like knitted football boot experiences currently on the market. It's also a New Balance boot, which means you can get it in regular as well as wide fit, which I think is a very attractive feature for a lot of people, particularly if you have really wide feet. And the sole plate and stud pattern is also super unique, where it's relatively traditional in terms of its layout, but along the sides, you're going to find these kind of 3/4 length bladed studs that go right to the edge of the sole plate. So in terms of giving you that little bit of additional grip when on the edges of your feet, particularly for a goalkeeper, I think this makes a lot of sense. It's just one of those features that you will not find anywhere else. Not to mention, because it is a New Balance boot, they're not as expensive as the more popular top-end options from the big brands, retailing for $215. In terms of bang for your buck, uniqueness, and overall just an amazing football boot experience, you can't go wrong with the TEKELA V4 Pro Low.